The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The webinar will begin shortly. Please remain on the line. The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. My name is John Ortiz, and I'm here with Jordan Zavada from CMP Research Team. Really appreciate everyone. We're super excited for today's session. So we're going to be talking about busting some AI myths. So yeah, I'm John. I'm the technology sales manager here at MiaRec. I do AI analytics consultant. And Jordan, if you want to quickly introduce yourself.
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Jordan Zavoder. I'm the quantitative research lead for CMP Research. So if you've ever been to a CCW event, Customer Contact Week, CMP Research, we are the research and advisory arm that helps put on those shows. So a lot of what I'm doing is synthesizing data into insights to help leaders like yourself in customer contact and CX make more informed and data-driven decisions. So really excited to be here again.
Yeah, thanks, Jordan. So yeah, we have a lot to cover in a short amount of time. We got 30 minutes, so I'm going to jump right into it. But today we are going to be busting some AI myths, and the three myths that we're going to be busting is number one, that AI needs to be 100% accurate to be useful. Number two is that predictive or AI-powered CX scoring can't be trusted or isn't trustworthy. And then number three is that you need data analysts to interpret AI. All three of these are myths, and we'll show you today by busting them so that you guys can have a more clear picture and maybe have a little bit more trust in AI. But before we do that, I'm actually really curious to know, I'm going to put up a poll on the screen right now. What is the biggest blocker for all of you guys in terms of implementing AI in your business? Is it accuracy concerns? Is it a lack of trust or security concerns, like a compliance type thing? Is it implementation complexity, or is it unclear ROI? Feel free to choose one of these as the most, I guess, prevalent reason why implementing AI has been a challenge or a blocker in your call center. Jordan, have you seen any research on this, like in terms of maybe one of the reasons why that stands out?
Yes, I think there is, I guess it goes along the lines of lack of trust in AI or uncertainty in the AI they're investing in, because as we know, you see AIs branded everywhere. And it wasn't too long ago, we were talking about generative AI. You know, 2025 was agentic AI. You know, it moves so fast, and I think it's hard to keep up with all the various AI, large language models. So yeah, curious to see how these kind of roll in. Looks like, yeah, accuracy concerns. Interesting.
Yeah, accuracy concerns is number one, and lack of trust. I'll just share the results here. But yeah, accuracy concerns, lack of trust, implementation complexity is second, and unclear ROI is a third. So interesting. Well, that's good. I mean, I'm glad that accuracy concerns is number one, because that's going to be the first one that we're going to cover today in terms of the myths that we're going to bust about AI. So really appreciate you all participating in that, really. So let's move right along here. So first, I want to have Jordan really quickly talk about AI implementation hesitation. So we have some data here about like the percentage of leaders that are willing to implement AI, and specifically like agentic AI. So Jordan, maybe if you want to talk through this really quickly.
Yeah, definitely. So we have a survey that's out with executives in customer contact and CX, and this is actually a preliminary data, so you guys are getting a first peek. But what we're asking is how willing they are to enable AI, specifically agentic AI, for various customer contact and CX tools, because we know you don't just invest in agentic AI or you don't just invest in generative AI. It is an application that's embedded in these tools, and what we're seeing, and there's a little bit more uncertainty when it comes to enabling AI for workforce optimization, workforce management, and customer analytics and insights. Now, a little bit lower, of course, only about a quarter for voice bots and chat bots. There's that uncertainty of not enabling AI. So, it's really interesting as we break this down. Of course, we'll be talking about, analytics, predictive analytics, and so forth, auto QA, QM. But yeah, there's still a lot of uncertainty in enabling AI, especially when we talk about agentic AI, with models being autonomous, making decisions without any human in the loop. So we'll kind of touch on a little bit that coming up here, especially when it comes to, well, this AI, is it going to be accurate? Am I going to get an ROI? Is my team even enabled to, do they have the tech savviness to manage tools with AI? So there's a lot of barriers with, investing in these tools that have AI embedded within them.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and I would imagine a lot of this hesitation here comes from some of the myths we're going to bust today too, right?
Mm-hmm.
So,
yep.
Yeah. All right, thanks, Jordan. So yeah, let's dive right in then. Okay, so let's tackle myth number one. And this is a misconception I see all the time. So AI must be 100% accurate to be useful, right? So I see it all the time on demos. I'll be showing a customer a demo, and they'll notice that a word was mistranscribed, or the AI maybe produced an incorrect response on a QA scorecard. And then all of a sudden I see their confidence in the product just fades. Like I can see it on their face, right? And it's really unfortunate, because if you step back and you look at the big picture, 95% or more of the transcript and those AI responses are completely accurate. And I get it. When you're evaluating tech, especially AI, those little errors, they stand out. And a lot of folks kind of fall back on the old like garbage in, garbage out theory. So they assume that if there's any noise in the input, the output can't be trusted. But that's not how AI works today. In reality, modern models are built to kind of handle messy data, to find patterns in all the noise. So the AI doesn't need to be flawless to be useful. It just needs to understand enough to drive action. And that's what I'm going to show you here today. And we kind of call it the cookie monster principle here. So let me break this down. So when the cookie monster says, "me want cookie," you don't stop and say, "wait, that's not grammatically correct." You get what he's saying immediately, and the meaning is super clear, even if the structure isn't. And AI works the same way. Right? It doesn't need to transcribe every word perfectly or respond exactly how a human would. It just needs to capture the intent well enough to drive the right action. And in fact, the most useful AI is often one that's like I would say directionally accurate, not surgically precise. Right? So this is kind of what we're comparing this to, and I hope that kind of makes sense for you guys. And sorry, Jordan, feel free to pop in too whenever you want. But I want to unpack this a little bit more, starting with the first thing that people tend to fixate on, and that's transcription. Transcription is super important, especially for like AI and analytics, because the AI relies on the transcription for the analytics to extract all the insights. So a lot of people think that if a single word is off, the rest of the insight can't be trusted. But really, there's a difference between transcription accuracy and what I'll call outcome accuracy. So let's zoom in on transcription for a moment, because this is where I see a lot of people getting hung up. And basically, the assumption is that if transcription isn't perfect, that the output must be flawed. However, there is a really big difference between transcribing words correctly and understanding what the conversation is basically about. So let's break it down. So first of all, I want to talk about, let me go back here. Let's talk about contextual understanding first. My mistake. So first, AI focuses on contextual understanding, as you can see here, not just exact wording. So it looks at the overall intent of the conversation. So if someone basically says, for example, "I need to cancel my service because it's too expensive," the AI can hear cancel service expensive, and that's enough to basically correctly flag that call as like a churn risk or a lost revenue moment. And then second, basically this mirrors how humans listen, right? We don't catch every single word perfectly either, especially in like noisy or fast-paced environments, but we still understand what's being said, and AI operates similarly. In terms of redundant information, conversations are full of this. People repeat themselves all the time. They rephrase. So basically, if even AI misses a word the first time, it'll often catch it on the next time. So it gets enough from the repetition to make a solid judgment. In terms of business outcomes too, even 90 to 95% accurate transcription leads to way better than traditional manual call scoring, right? It's consistent, it's fast, you can scale it. So yeah, you're not just getting more data, you're getting basically decisions that you can actually trust. And then lastly, I just added this one. I think it's interesting. So even humans have inconsistent or inaccurate evaluations. I used to score calls in a contact center, and some of those calls were like an hour long. So even after just scoring one of those calls, you feel tired, right? So you're really likely to on the next one kind of score through it a little bit quicker and maybe answer, oh, yes, they did this, and you're maybe not 100% sure. So what I'm saying is even when humans are scoring calls, they can be inaccurate or inconsistent, right? So let's look at an example of this transcription accuracy. I really want to show this to you guys. And I think this is going to help debunk this myth about transcription accuracy needing to be 100% accurate. So what we're looking at here is I'm going to show you an example of a transcription that has a lot of inaccuracies. And what we're going to do is I want to show you if AI is able to understand those inaccuracies, right? So what we have here is the prompt kind of designer here. So I can ask the AI questions about this transcript here on the right. So let's look at this. So this first sentence says, thank you for calling Help Enhance Home Care. This is Marissa speaking. How may I assist y'all? So just from that first sentence, I'm sure that most of us can discern that the agent is asking, how can I assist you, right? Even if the transcription is inaccurate. So you and I can probably tell that. But let's see if the AI can too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enter a prompt here, and I'm going to say, did the agent ask the customer, how may I assist you? Right, I'm going to click test. So basically, let's test and see if the AI can figure it out. And you can see really quickly, it says, yes, the agent did ask the customer, how may I assist you? This occurs at the very beginning of the call. So even with a completely misspelled transcript, the AI is able to discern that the agent asked, how may I assist you? Right? Let's try another one. So it says, hi, this is Linda Martin. I'm calling because I got a problem with one of the aides that visits my dad. I'm sorry to hear that, Linda. Can you all tell me what happened with the AIDA? Right, so again, there's an inaccuracy in the transcript, particularly when the agent's asking about the aid. So let's ask about that. So did the agent ask what happened with the aid? Right, so let's test. And it says, yes, can you tell me what happened with the AIDA? Right, so even again with the misspelling, the AI can tell. And let's do one more. It says, yeah, his name is Carl. I'm not sure of the spelling. He's the one that comes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Right, so another misspelling. So let's test the AI one more time and see. Okay, which days of the week does the aide come to the patient's home, right? And let's see if we can pick up on this without the misspelling. So it does really quickly, right? The aide comes to the patient's home on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So boom, there's concrete proof that a transcript doesn't need to be even close to 100% accurate for the AI to be able to discern what's happening in it, right? And the other part, let's move on really quickly from accuracy. I break it down into two parts. Like transcription accuracy is important with AI, but then AI output is also super important, right? And something that people get hung up on, right? So let's look at this example really quickly. I want to use auto QA for this. So basically, like what we're looking at is an auto QA scorecard, right? You can see there's been 170 reports that were scored. You can see like the average score, all that. But what I really want to focus on is this right here. So this is one of the questions on the QA scorecard. It says, did the agent verify the patient's identity before discussing details? Right? And if we look at this, it says that 46% of the time the agents are doing this and 54% of the time they're not. Now, unfortunately for this example, I couldn't find any like incorrect AI responses, but that's okay. We can use our imagination here. So let's assume that 5% of these responses from the AI were inaccurate. So instead of 54% being wrong, we see 49%. Let me ask you this. Would you still know that there was an issue with this particular question? And the answer is yes, right? We would know that still half the time our agents are not verifying patient identity before discussing sensitive information. Even if this was 10% inaccurate or 20% inaccurate, right? That would take us all the way down to 34%. That would still tell us that 34% of the time our agents aren't doing what they're supposed to be doing. So again, even with a 20% inaccuracy level, we know that there is an issue within the call center or within our agent performance. So again, that proves that AI doesn't need to be 100% accurate for you to have data that is actionable, for you to have something that gives you clear insight into something that's that's wrong, that's happening within your call center or your business, right? So from both of those things, I would say that myth is completely busted, right? You do not need AI to be 100% accurate to be useful. And I'll pass it here to Jordan if you want to wrap this section up, if you will.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to add is that when we think about the alternative, what is 100% accurate? Of course, an auto QA/QM supervisor, they are the source of truth. Yes, they're not going to always be completely right, as you know. There's going to be fatigue over an hour-long call, as John mentioned, or even when we think about an after-interaction survey, that is the source of truth. But the thing with the AI is, right, you don't have to have this perfect 100% accurate, predicting CSAT or predicting an auto QA a QA score, because there's a balance with AI. You have greater coverage. Instead of analyzing 5% of your agent's interactions, or maybe getting 5% of your customers completing a survey, AI can now analyze 100% of those interactions, and that just gives you so much more flexibility of, if you can have a predictive CSAT score, you can cut that data in so many different ways, understanding truly where are those points of friction. And then even with every single agent having every interaction analyzed, you can understand their strengths and opportunities at a more holistic perspective. So just want to iterate, yes, everyone thinks AI is this crystal ball. It is good. It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it doesn't have to be. It has to be, maybe 80% accurate, 90%. It kind of depends on the situation, but it's going to give you greater coverage, and that just gives you a lot more flexibility in generating those insights to improve your business.
Yeah, well said. Yeah, I totally agree. So I hope this helps, right? Because we also, the top reason for hesitancy was AI accuracy, and I think we completely busted this myth with those two examples. So thank you, Jordan. I appreciate you. So moving on really quickly, the next myth we have is that predictive CX, so AI-powered CSAT, can't be trusted. And at first glance, I really do get the hesitation. It sounds like AI is making a guess without asking the customer directly. But here's the thing, traditional surveys, which are known as like the gold standard for customer feedback, have some serious limitations. So before we talk about the AI CX, let me just really quickly talk about these limitations, right? And I think we all know about these, right? They have three big problems, and they're not just really minor annoyances. They're like almost, I won't say deal breakers, but they're really serious for you getting an accurate read on customer experience. So traditional surveys have traditionally a low response rate, between 5 and 15%. So you're missing a huge chunk of feedback from your customers. Significant lag time, right? Even when you do get responses from surveys, it often takes like weeks or 2 weeks to collect, clean, and analyze the feedback, right? So by the time you get that feedback, the moment's gone, or the customer's already canceled, or whatever the case may be. And then lastly, response bias. The people who tend to respond to surveys are either on one end of a spectrum, either very upset or very happy. So again, you're missing a huge chunk of people in the middle, right? So those are just some of the drawbacks with traditional surveys. So let's take a look at what that actually looks like in practice.
Can I add one thing real quick to that,
yeah,
John?
Of course.
One thing I'd like to add is that, we say that predictive NPS or predictive CSAT isn't trustworthy. And I should say, we're getting to a point where not every survey is trustworthy. And this is coming from someone, I analyze survey data regularly, and the quality of survey data has gone down significantly. We are putting in many speed traps and quality assurance, and we're not getting the same quality data. So one thing I would say is that a predictive CSAT score can actually be more accurate than what an individual said on that survey, because they weren't really paying attention. They were just giving, checking the box. They were doing something else. So just wanted to mention that predictive CSAT, we say that the actual survey is a source of truth, but again, we don't know. Where we are today is I wouldn't put as much trust as I once did in actual survey responses. And again, this is from someone I'm analyzing surveys pretty regularly, and that quality has gone down significantly.
No, I'm glad you brought that up. Yeah, thanks, Jordan. That's super true. I would say, especially too, with like incentive-based surveys, right? If there's
Yes.
some prize or something they're giving away at the end, like people are
Exactly.
incentivized to just get through it to get the incentive or whatever it is, right? So
Right.
that's a good point. So great. So yeah, let me show you really quick AI-powered CX scoring. Basically, what it is, right? It's using AI to automatically score things like CSAT, Net Promoter Scores, effort scores, like how hard was it for the customer to get their issue resolved, even churn risk, right? So you can see like in this list of fake calls, you can see every call scored for CSAT and all these different CX metrics, right? And what happens after that is with CX scoring is all those scores get presented in dashboards, right? So you get a holistic view of things like CSAT. Like this is an example CSAT dashboard. So you can see over like any period of time, like how many customers fall under each of these different satisfaction categories, right? So every call is getting scored. So you really get that holistic view of, how many customers exactly are dissatisfied, how many customers exactly are at risk of churn, or whatever the case may be, right? But where I see the hang up on this is people don't know how it works, so they don't trust it, which makes sense, right? If you don't really know how something's working, or it's kind of hard to have solid trust in it. So I'll just show you, like basically the way that CX scoring works is AI analyzes the full transcript of every interaction, and we'll use CSAT as an example. It scores CSAT on a scale from 1 to 5, and it's in our examples, it's looking at 5 key areas like issue resolution, agent performance, customer engagement, efficiency, and extra effort. And then it'll score the call on a scale from 1 to 5. And just to show you exactly kind of what it looks like, I'll show you the exact prompt that we give to AI to score CSAT. I won't read the whole thing, but basically it says here, like when we're telling the AI to score CSAT, it says you're an expert in analyzing customer service calls. Score these calls on a scale from 1 to 5. And then we tell it to look at some key factors, like I mentioned, issue resolution, like was the customer's problem completely resolved? Agent performance, professionalism and courtesy level, technical knowledge. So you can see these 5 key factors all have subpoints under them, like customer engagement has all these, efficiency has all these, like response time to customer queries or questions, right? So these instructions that we give to AI to score CSAT are very, very detailed. And the AI has this, or is referencing these instructions when it's scoring all these calls for CSAT. And because of that, it's actually really, really accurate. But to put that to the test, I want to run an experiment with you guys really quickly. So I'm going to read these call summaries, and I'm going to put a poll up. And I want you guys to tell me how you would score CSAT in this exact scenario. Right? So let's look at this first call, right? And the summary says, Haley called to inquire about the status of a replacement mirror order placed on November 12th with expedited shipping. The order was a replacement for a damaged mirror. The agent informed her that her item was back ordered from the manufacturer, delaying shipment. The customer expressed frustration due to conflicting information received during the initial order and delay. The agent offered to email the manager who placed the order and send the customer a summary of the email or call. Right, so basically, she ordered a mirror. It was broken at first, and then she ordered another one, and the replacement mirror is now delayed. And it looks like this mirror was $400, and all the agent was able to do is offer to send her a summary of the email he's going to send to the manufacturer or something. So let me ask you guys this. How would you guys score this call in terms of CSAT, right? So I'm going to put the poll up here really quickly. So if this happened to you, put yourself in Haley's shoes, right? You ordered a mirror, it came broken, you ordered another one, now it's on back order, and the agent was basically unable to help you. So how would you score that call for CSAT? Like, would you be very satisfied with that interaction? Would you be dissatisfied with that interaction? Let me know. And then after you guys vote, I'm going to show you how the AI would score this one. Right? I'll give us a quick preview here. All right, so we got some votes coming in here. So some people are saying very dissatisfied, dissatisfied. Okay. All right. Mostly very dissatisfied or dissatisfied. All right. Which is how I feel too, right? Either way, either very dissatisfied or dissatisfied, or someone's neutral. Okay. So you wouldn't mind about the the broken mirror and the replacement one not going. Okay. I like that. That's Zen type energy. Cool. Thank you guys for voting. I really, really appreciate you. All right. So yeah, it looks like most of the people, just for the sake of time, I'll end the poll and share the results. Mostly very dissatisfied or dissatisfied. And if we look at the analytics here, we can see that's how the AI scored CSAT here. So it says dissatisfied in this example, right? And then it'll say the customer's issue is not resolved. Is the item still delayed? The agent explained the situation but couldn't expedite shipping, so on and so forth. Right? So basically, the AI scores the CSAT on this call just like most of you would as well, either very dissatisfied or dissatisfied. right? And this is how it works on literally every single call. I've worked with this type of data for a long time, and I can tell you with confidence, I haven't really ever seen the AI misclassify a call like as satisfied when they shouldn't have been. It's very accurate, the AI-powered CX scoring. For the sake of time, and thank you again, guys, I appreciate you contributing to the poll. I'll skip through this second one here, but I'm sure we would all end up on the same score again for this one. So let me go to the next slide here. Oops. Let's close this. All right, so takeaway, Jordan, if you want to handle this real quick, and then we have 5 minutes left, and we'll get to the next one really quickly.
Yep, just really quick. I know there's kind of surveys are technically dying in a way, especially the after call or after interaction survey. We know because predictive CSAT, as John just showed, and predictive NPS and other metrics are pretty powerful and pretty accurate, and you get that full coverage. I will say it's still important to have collecting surveys for validation, especially if you go through the quality assurance and you get a good survey response, you want to compare that to the model to ensure that you have a well fine-tuned model for prediction. But it's very powerful, and I would say surveys overall, they're definitely dying, but there's still a place for that validation.
Yeah, totally agree. Yeah, using them in conjunction with one another is still a good practice for sure. I agree. Thanks. All right, so yeah, let's move on to the last myth here, and that myth is that you need data analysts to interpret AI. So we hear this all the time, especially from teams just getting started. If they want to use the insights that AI surfaces, because there's so many that they need a team of analysts to make sense of it. And that's just not true. Well, it's not anymore, and I'll show you why, right? But I think we all know kind of the shortcomings or limitations of traditional analysts, right? First of all, delays in the insights. I mean, it usually takes an analyst or a team of analysts to compile insights at least a week or a couple of weeks. So by the time you get, again, those insights, it's the customer's already gone, right? Or maybe they're still waiting for their issues to be resolved. And obviously, analysts are expensive, right? So it's an expensive resource that takes a lot of time to get to where it needs to get in terms of the information or the analytics. So that's just why it's got so many limitations and why it's really important for what we're going to talk about today. But yeah, it's not true anymore. You don't need data analysts to interpret AI because we have a new tool called Ask AI, and I'll show you in a second. But it's basically like the Google principle that I've made up here. Basically, it says that you don't need to understand the algorithm to find what you need, right? Whenever you're using Google, you don't think about the algorithm when you're searching, right? You just type in what you want to type in and you get the answer back really, really quickly, right? And that's where we're at now with AI in terms of being able to interpret large data sets, right? We don't need to understand the algorithm. We don't need the team of analysts. We can usually use this tool called Ask AI, right? And basically what Ask AI is it lets you like type into our interface, like agentic AI type stuff, questions that you would want to ask, like same thing like you would ask with like ChatGPT, but you could ask questions about your call data, right? Like what are the top 3 cancellations reasons in October? Which agents showed declining empathy? Estimate at-risk revenue for churn flagged accounts, or whatever the case may be. And you can get answers back in seconds, right? So I want to show you this really quickly, and I'll kind of fast forward through this because we're close on time here, but just showing you how Ask AI works, and this is going to prove that you don't need data analysts anymore to put together data. So right now we're looking at a CSAT dashboard, right? So basically this is for like a home care company, and you can see that we have 26 patients here that are dissatisfied. So basically what I would do is I'd want to click into those calls, right, to figure out, okay, why are these patients dissatisfied? And once I click into those, it takes me straight to these calls, and I can see, okay, here's all the dissatisfied patients. And immediately my mind goes to, okay, why are these patients dissatisfied? So instead of using a data analyst or a team of data analysts, I can just type into the top right here, tell me the most common reasons why our patients are having low or dissatisfied CSAT on these calls. And you can see, just like you would with ChatGPT, you type in the prompt, you hit enter, and then within a couple of seconds, you can see I've got a response here. And it tells me like the most common reason for dissatisfaction is dissatisfaction with caregiver service, right? There's been 13 calls there. And then the AI also gives me like common themes in dissatisfaction. It gives me example calls for review. It even gives me a visual breakdown for review. And I literally got that in seconds. And I was asking about a large subset of calls, right? Which is amazing. This is something that has not been available to us in the the past, right? Now we have it. And what's also cool about this is just like kind of like a chat GPT, you can continue to ask questions, right? Like maybe I want to ask another question, like what are the most common complaints we're getting with our caregivers, right? And then in a couple seconds, it'll pull it up here and I can see all these common complaints, right? So that's basically how Ask AI works. And this is a new technology that's available. And basically this is making it towards where we don't need data analysts anymore to put together large data sets, which is amazing, right? So we're basically going from manual reporting here, right? Traditional analytics take forever. Now we get Ask AI, which will, you ask the questions and you get instant insights, which is really cool. And Jordan, maybe if you want to pop in, I don't know anything you have to add here.
Yeah, just really quickly. I mean, we get this question all the time of this new role, the human in the loop or the AI operator. That's someone that has observability over all the AI. But yeah, you don't need to know coding. You don't need to know statistics. Really, you're in place to use your time efficiently to find insights and those points of friction and take action. And this tool gets you to those insights super fast than it would take a team of data scientists.
Yeah, it basically turns anyone into a data analyst at this point, right?
Anybody. So that's right. Yep.
Yeah, cool. So yeah, three truths to take home, right? Chase better decisions, not perfect transcripts or AI responses, right? Now we know that AI doesn't need to be super accurate or 100% accurate rather to be useful. We know that automated CX scoring is very powerful, very accurate, right? And that we also don't need data analysts to interpret large data sets. But that's it. So really quickly, I want to just throw a poll up here. I really appreciate all of you joining. If any of you are interested in learning more about this, I'm going to launch a poll really quickly. So we offer a free analysis of your guys' call data. So like if you want to send us 500 calls or 1,000 calls, we put those into our system, and then we use AI to score all those. So you can see like inferred CX scoring, auto QA, Ask AI. So if you're interested in taking part in something like that, feel free to vote right here. You can say book a demo to learn more or free call analysis or both, right? Just let us know. But yeah, other than that, guys, I really appreciate you all joining. I see I have a couple questions here. I'm going to open it up for questions, but I'll leave that poll up there right now. So let's see. So that one person said, hi, this is Greg. How long does it take Ask AI to spit out answers? Well, you just saw right now. I mean, it's really quick, right? So I'll move to the Q&A slide so we all know what we're doing here. But yeah, Ask AI is really quick. It usually takes like 15, 20 seconds. And it also kind of depends on how many calls you're asking about, like, because you can ask about 100 calls, 1,000 calls, right? So it might take a little bit longer when you're asking about more calls. But yeah, it's very quick. I mean, much quicker than, again, waiting for a team of analysts. Because an analyst would have to go through those calls one by one to get some of those insights for you, even if they're AI generated. So, but yeah, that's a good question. Let's see, any other questions here? Hi, this is Steph. Can you use predictive CX scoring to score other metrics aside from CSAT? Yes, definitely. I think I showed on one of the slides previously that predictive CX scoring, you can use it to score things like net promoter scores, so inferred NPS. You can use it to score, what are some other things? Churn risk, customer effort scores, right? So you can use it to score way more than just CSAT, and you can use all those metrics in conjunction with one another, right? I think we have one more. Hi, Cindy. How accurate on average would you say transcription is in terms of word accuracy? That's a good question. I would say, I mean, maybe Jordan, if you have any data on this, you can back me up. But I would say, like, and I can speak for our transcription engine, it's very accurate. I would say between 90 to 95% accuracy. But of course, that does depend on external factors like how loud the speaker is talking, or is there any background noise? Do they have a heavy accent? Things like that. I don't know, Jordan, if you have any data on that.
Yeah, that's a typical range that we're seeing in various models, anywhere between that 90 to 95 percentile. And like you said, there are many factors that can affect that, but anything over 95, I would say, is at the top end.
All right, cool. All right, so we agree then. All right, well, no, I think that's all the questions, and that's all our time for today. I appreciate you guys staying a minute or two over, but yeah, this was really fun. I had a great time. Thank you, Jordan, for joining and sharing your insights. It's always great to have you on these webinars with us. But yeah, again, everyone, yeah, thank you so much. Really appreciate you. Hope you all have a great rest of your day, and if you voted here for one of these free analysis or both, I'll be in touch with you probably today. All right. So yeah, thank you everyone. Have a good rest of your day.